Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Luqman here. Today is a bit different from my usual videos. I am going to share. I want to share my knowledge about what I am doing for a living. I am a software engineer. So um, I would like to share what my day-to-day tasks on what I'm doing for my job. Um, I mean, I'm not going to show you all the little details, but I'm going to show you um, how I get things done. So the first video that I'm going to probably share about you guys is um, Laravel sale. So I haven't told you before, but in my workplace, I have been developing using Laravel for quite some time now, about 1 year since Laravel 6 and then 7 and then now 8. And then recently, Taylor Orwell, the author of the Laravel, released the Laravel sale. So, what is sale? So, let's get started. So sale is basically an onboarding, one of the onboarding initiative by Taylor to make development or getting started on the Laravel easier. So previously, I have to set up a web server, like for example NGX or Apache, and then a MySQL database, and then a Redis server. What else? Supervisor to manage queue, and then yeah, I think that's about it. A PHP service, obviously. So what Sail does is basically automate all of those stuff into a single file. So what I mean single file, it is called a Docker Compose file. So basically, Sail is based on Docker. So what is Docker? Docker is a um, service that runs not a service, an application that start each of those mentioned services that I mentioned, the MySQL, the Nginx, the Redis, as a container. So um, for example, I have let me show you. So I have this laptop running Ubuntu. It is a complete OS, a complete operating system. So I have to install those services inside this OS, uh, to get started with my development. So what Docker does is that it started those services independently of the OS. So let's say the device that I am recording right now is Windows. So in this Windows OS that I have, I can have the same exact setup as the Ubuntu laptop that I have right here. So if I have Nginx 1.1.6 here, I can have 1.1.6 here with a single file, with the Docker Compose file. Well, basically Docker and Docker Compose is kind of separate thing. It's a separate topic actually. So Docker is Docker. Docker Compose is like um, combining all of the services together. Uh, okay, you'll see as we go through. So I just want to say what is Docker actually. Docker is, like I said, I have to set up previously. Uh, I have to set up all of the services independently, not independently, all together inside an OS. So with Docker, I can have multiple different services, like for example Nginx 1.1.6, Nginx or Nginx 1.1.9, Redis 5, Redis 4, PHP 7, PHP 8, all in the same device without changing the environment variables, the global path and everything. I can just change the Docker Compose file and get started with my uh, preferred version of the development environment. So let's get started with some examples. So I am going to show the basic on the setup, but I'm not going to install it because I have already have all set up, and since my work uh, PC here, the work laptop, and then the Ubuntu laptop is set up to do my real work. So I am not going to mess with it because it will take me some time to probably get to where I wanted it to be when I want to do the work later on. Okay, so uh, we wanted to start with Sail, but then since Sail is based on Docker, we have to know what Docker is. So I have already told you what Docker is. So uh, let me click get started. So Docker can be installed on all three OS. Uh, Download for Windows, download for Linux, and then view Linux engine. Why for Linux is not download for Linux? Because Linux have a different flavor. Like one is based on Debian, one is based on what do we call the other ones? Based on Arch, based on different flavor of Linux. So if you want me to show how to set it up on Linux, just let me know down in the comments. So basically, I have an Ubuntu base laptop here. Why I chose Ubuntu? I can just install and get going with my programming. So don't ask me about why I chose Ubuntu. It have the most support and everything. Okay, now that's out of the way. When you click download for Windows, so obviously you will download a an installer. So okay, so about 493 megabytes as of per recording. So let me cancel that because I have already installed it. So as for Macs, you just follow the Macs. Oh, I accidentally clicked it again. So by the way, am I recording? Okay, yeah, I am recording. Okay, so by the way, excuse for the mic. My not my new. I have ordered the mic. It has not yet arrived, so I'm using my Galaxy Buds mic. So excuse this the sound quality. So um, if you click on download for Mac, you just follow the Mac instructions, and then as for the Linux engine, if you need a video, I will do a separate one. So but basically you just follow based um, on your Linux flavor. So as for me, I just follow the Ubuntu guide here. Here, and then as you can see, it listed all of the supported versions, and then the one that I am using is the Ubuntu Fokker because I prefer the long-term support version. I don't want to mess around with the OS, um, and then just follow the instructions there. So once you get that installed, and then same goes for the Windows, but I'm probably going to based on Windows since I am recording on this device. So on Windows, you have to you need to have a WSL to install. I mean set up. So is there any guide on where you can set up the for Windows? Okay, that's this guy. If you click on where I went, so you will see that Docker distro is available, require Windows 10, and then Windows Professional, Enterprise, and 10 Home, WSL2. So get Docker, you will download, and then there's the instructions here. Basically, it's very simple, but then the requirement is you need to have WSL to the Windows subsystem Linux to install. So as for me, I have the Ubuntu there set up as my WSL2 system. I don't have any others. I only have this one because my other laptop is based on Ubuntu, so see, you see, I am in the Ubuntu logo here. So okay, so just ignore that. Okay. Um, where do we? Okay. So once you get that WSL to install on your Windows for Mac and Linux, you can straight away with the installer. Now you can install the desktop for Windows. So once you get it installed, you will get the interface is like this. So I have some already images already loaded up. So I will talk about that later. So what's next? What's next? After we install Docker, just the Docker. Okay, nothing. So if you have already installed Docker successfully, when you type in somewhere in your terminal, I'm using PowerShell right now, so you will be greeted with something like this. So not like Docker command not found. So Docker version, I guess. Okay, so it will say the version. The one that I have right now is 20.10.2 build 2291F61. So the guide will be mostly the same if you're using a different version. So once you have Docker installed, now we can proceed to the Laravel sale. Sorry. So installation and setup. So it says there it is automatically installed with all new Laravel applications. So uh, let's get started. Anyway, with the installation of the Laravel shell. So I will probably make a separate video on how it integrates with the current projects, because um, yeah, my current project requires OCI 8, instant client and stuff. So it will be quite a bit complicated if you did not understand the basics of it. So your first Laravel project, get started on the Mac OS. Okay, so you just follow the guide here, follow here for Mac OS. So get started on Windows. See, it says here you need to install Docker Desktop, and then you need to ensure that you have the Windows System for Linux installed. So well, this should be a separate video for the WSL, but basically WSL allows you to run any Linux command that you need, like you have a real Linux in your PC. So that's why I'm using this PC, this laptop, Windows plus WSL as my main, because I can have the best of both worlds. Okay, and then it says here when you are ready, which is I am. So if you're not, you can go ahead and follow the guide here. So I'm going to copy here, and then I'm going to use my what my folder here, which I have a Laragon set up. So probably if you are interested, I can show you how to set up using a Laragon, basically a separate service kind of thing, but all in one for Windows only, since we don't have any equivalent ones for the Linux and Mac OS. But basically, Laragon is the best if you're developing on the Windows. But with Docker, I I kind of move away from it, because I can have the same setup everywhere and almost the same as the production. So did I copy it? Okay, let's copy that inside this. Supply values. What is the values? Okay, I thought I already supplied the values. Launch the video session. Okay, sorry. So I started in the wrong place. Okay, so I have to tell about this. So when you started in the Windows PowerShell, as you can see, you will be in your C drive and then flash your folders. If you started in the Linux uh, I mean the subsystem, you will be inside the Linux directories. So let's see cd first. Let's go back one. Let's go back twice. Then ls. You can see this is the folders in Linux. So uh, if you want to see in the file explorer, just to avoid some newcomers from confusion. So if you can see here, we have the C, and then the G is the Google Drive. So if you have the C drive here, so if you use Windows PowerShell or the command prompt, you will have these folders for your project. So okay, this is my workspace project. So we're not going to use this because we are using Docker. When we are using Laravel, so we will do that. So how to access the Windows subsystem folders? I think it's this slash WSL with the, not this one, with this I think. Okay, so when I type those in the address bar, you can see I have my system in here. So the one that you see here, uh, sorry, I cannot show with my hand. Okay, here the subdirectories in the terminal should look the same as this one in your folders. So let's go to home, my name, my user, which is, so you can see all of my files in here. So cd, you can see cd, is this the right place? I think so, yeah. Okay, so you can see it's the same directory structures. So since Docker requires us to be in the WSL to be able to do some stuff with the Docker thing, so you need to be inside this. Plus, it will be a huge performance boost. I have tested it. Actually, you can in this terminal. By the way, I'm using the sorry, oh my ZSH shell uh, shell script shell terminal instead of bash, the regular one inside Ubuntu. So you can see the curly here like this, but basically it's just another shell, but you can do the same with any other shell, the shell command. Okay, so what did I left? I wanted to show you, you can access the Windows folders inside the Linux terminal. So you can access it by mnt c for the C drive. So you can see, okay, yeah, those are the permission denied, but you can see there's my program files. What's my, um, I think it's, what's the Laravel part? Is it cd Laravel? Yeah. So there's the, this is my project path. So this is inside the subsystem. So you can access both ways. Inside the Windows, you can also navigate to the WSL, and then from the WSL, you can navigate to the Windows directory. So for example, in this PowerShell, I can type WSL, and then it is already inside the WSL mode, but the uh, Windows directory. So if I cd there, I am back into my Linux environment within the PowerShell. So as you can see, it can be quite bit confusing at first. So just take a deep breath and then choose one environment that you want to work on. And then when I'm working with Docker, I will choose the Linux directory, of course, because it will be faster to load my apps and then do the work there. But whenever I have to start at the Laravel part, then I will use the Windows one. Okay. Basically, you just need to be in the environment that you're developing in. So programming is usually best in Unix-based OS, so basically Mac and Linux. So Windows is kind of like a stat OS there. Okay, so let's get started. So let's remove the PowerShell part. Now let's cd back to our apps there. So okay, here is my workspace. So I have the current project portal uh, capsule. So okay, I have to copy it again. So just press enter. Unable to find image locally. This is the standard Docker message when they don't have when they cannot find the image locally on your machine. So it will automatically download the image. So while waiting, I will explain to you what is image. So image is like the service that I mentioned before. There's the MySQL image, there's the Ubuntu image, there's like it can be any kind of image. Like it can be a composer image, it can be a PHP image, it can be an full OS image, like I mentioned, the Ubuntu image with all of the services installed inside it. But then it is best if you separate those image. So that's why we need the Docker Compose part. But as of now, just focus on the what do we call the sale part. Okay. So as you can see, it has finished downloading the image, and then now it is running the the composer install, um, the composer install process. So if you're running a okay, the application's permission, it is asking for my password. So okay, sorry. Okay, so it asks for the sudo message. Basically, this is a Linux permission thing. So everything is done. So let's ls see the folder the name here, example app. So if you go up, there's the build example app. So you can change the name. I think so. Well, you can try. Let's try it then. Just do what my portal. Okay, so basically when okay, so let me explain this one. So why are you not seeing the um, image downloading again? Because it can already detect that you have downloaded the image earlier. So what is the image? Okay, we will go through the document, the file later. So as you can see, ls example app, and then my portal. So there's two for the. So let's go into the my portal part. So cd my portal. As you can see, there's all the files in there. Okay, let's look at the permissions there. So permissions is my name, everything. So yeah, everything have to be in your own what user and group. So this part is the user, this part is the group part. So uh, else you will be hit by the permission denied issue, which is a headache to understand if you do not understand Linux really well. Um, I had those a lot of time. So okay, now that's done. Let's go to the guide again. Where's the guide? Okay, I just started the project. Okay, so once you CD inside, you can just run this. Run this inside the folder of your project. So as you can see, the composer install has been run. It says here creating network, and then creating volume, and then creating volume with a different name there. So as you can see again, it is pulling my SQL now. So without any particular setup, you can see that's why I what this is what I like about Docker. So without any particular setup for MySQL, for the PHP, for the sale part, I don't have to know like a lot. I don't have to set them up manually. So I have can just have them up and running right away with just a command. So far, how many commands do I get? Uh, Obviously, if you pulling from Git, you have to do git clone first. But then in this case, you just download using the curl, and then as curl will actually download the image right away, and then set up, it will download the additional images that it needs. So right now it is pulling the Redis one. So I don't have to do anything. So everything can be written in one script, and then you are up and running. So you might say, what is the advantage if you have Laragon and then you have already set up everything uh, prior to this? So if you're working in a team, and especially if you're like me, I am a team leader for the team. So I have always new stuff coming in and stuff. So you need to have something that is global as this one. So previously I read a readme. I have read sorry. I have written a readme to install bunch of stuff. PHP, Nginx, Instant Client, or OCI, OCI, 8, and everything. And then 50% of the time they will probably get um, okay, there's an error there. I will talk about the error later. So, the 50% of the time they will get stuck in one of the process. So with this, most of the time they usually uh, kind of breeze away from the setup part, from the issues part, and then everyone is guaranteed to have the same development environment. So not like that guy have the PHP 7.4, I have the 7.4.1.4, and then that guy have 7.3, which is the minimum requirement. So we want to avoid that. Okay, so once that out of the way, uh, okay, so I think this is not an error for the what do we say? Not the error for the setup. It is just the error when pulling the Ubuntu update. Okay, just a quick Google will tell you. Okay, try restarting your Docker host. Okay, let's try one of the. Try this. Okay, let's try running it again. Okay, where did it start just now? Step 7 over 17 there. Okay, I already at 8. Oh, is it 8? Okay, 8, same. Which gap? Well, hopefully it will come through, because this is a weird time to actually have an error, because it is not supposed to have an error. I've done this multiple times actually, so probably the error is the Windows part, not the setup part. There's nothing wrong with the sale part. So while we're waiting, okay, looks like it's done. Okay, so if you have those issues, you just follow the guide that I did. I just pasted this error, and then get the first one, and then copy this, and then you can read the explanation on yourself, by yourself. Okay, so I think it will take quite some time to need to get 44.6 MB. Okay, so um, while waiting, I think we should take a look at the Docker container. So by default, Docker will create a container with some random names. So I always clear this out. If not, I have like thousands of them. So currently the ones running is here. If you click it, there's nothing because it is still compiling. So there's an image. Okay, that's my, okay, let's put it on maximize. Okay, this is my stack, actually, my current stack. If you can see, I have the engine X image, Redis image, minor image, and then blah blah blah. Okay, this is the one that I think we just downloaded, Laravel PHP 80 composer image. And then okay, I think that's it because it didn't download the mailhawk because I have already have the image. So let's think this as this way. Let's think image as the installer for your OS. So let's say you are developing prior to Docker. You need to have the installer of a Google Chrome or the installer for the Laravel. You keep it somewhere in your hard disk or the USB drive. So image is something like that. So if you need it in advance, you can just go to the Docker Hub and then find the image and then download it locally. So it will also tell you the storage, the size here. So for the none part, mostly you will probably see yourself when you start building a lot. So it is kind of like a temporary image before it is saving to a real name. So that's that. You have to clear this manually. So we will see this later when I show you in this. Okay, so let's get 109. There's a lot of update in Ubuntu there. Okay, so okay, let's close this. By the way, when you seeing this kind of updates, so this is like having a sudo apt get install or apt update on your real Ubuntu OS. So this is something that the Ubuntu needs to update before we can set up the, what do we call, the development environment. So same, if I use this development, I ran sudo apt update, I will actually get this type of updates too. So this is real time, real updates, not like a dummy updates for development purpose only. This is coming straight from the Ubuntu server. Okay, containers, image. Okay, let's go through the some setting which I forgot. So if you're using Windows, I highly suggest you to use the WSL based engine. Check that one, and then um, you can this one I forgot to uncheck because I usually don't send the usage statistics. So go to resource, netting, network, netting, WSL integration. Check that if you haven't, and if you have multiple distros, you can check whichever distros that you want to be default. Uh, as of mine, I only have one, so if I check and uncheck it, it's the same. Docker engine, do not change anything in that. Experiment features, okay, cloud, Kubernetes. I haven't learned about this, so I don't know much, but I think this is like a deployment strategy for managing the clusters of containers. Okay, so I will probably look into that when I am deploying. So is it done yet? Not yet. Okay, that's okay. While it is compiling, let's go through um, the 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 Docker compose file. Okay. Okay, I should not open it like this, I guess. Probably like this. New window, open folder in WSL. Okay, so if you're using VS Code, you can open it like that, like this. And then, where's the, okay, there's the my button. Okay. There's another way of opening the folder. So since it is running, I cannot open the folder yet. So let's open a new terminal. This is just another way on opening the cd my portal. You can type code. Okay, so it will open the folder if you're inside the WSL, and as you can see here at the bottom, it will say here WSL Ubuntu 20.1. So there's no folder, but then because I chose the folder here, but as you can see, there's the recent part here. Okay, let's just close it. So to be able to do that, you need to install the extension, of course. So extension here is called, what do we call here? What what was it called? I forgot actually. It's something like obviously you can install Docker, but then it is called yeah, this one, remote WSL. Basically, when you open VS Code with that Docker install, it will automatically recommend you to install this. So to be able to do anything with this kind of um, integration with the Linux, you have to have this extension installed. Okay, okay, I have already opened it. So let's do this. Let's go through the files. So why I'm going to the files, because let's go back to the documentation. Close this one. Documentation. Okay. You can read this. Okay, once it started, use localhost and stuff. So, oh yeah, I missed the dot. You can install the dot. Open it with the dot. In fact, let me show you. Code dot. Okay, so it is open right away. Okay, now that's out of the way. Getting started of Linux, the same, it's the same. Okay, and then it says here, the first time it will be take several minutes, depending on your internet connection, because you have to pull the images like it is doing in my place here. Oh my, there's a lot of updates. Okay, don't worry, subsequent attempts it will be much faster. I mean, like really fast, like less than 5 seconds or 10, depending on your PC, of course. So the bottom part usually is just if you're using Laragon or no Laragon. This one is no Laragon purpose. I mean method. So you can just start with the artisan self. If you're using Laragon, you probably will start with using the Nginx or Apache. So initial configuration, you can read this in the documentation. So okay, nothing there. We are done with the setup. Docker, what is Docker? We have done about it. Docker desktop running. Okay, so that's this part. Installing sail into existing application. Basically, if you have an existing Laravel application, you just run composer require install, and then sail install to publish the Docker compose yum file, and then just sail up, and then you can start. Okay, so bash alias. Okay, bash alias basically is just, since you don't want to um, type this every time you want to start the server, you can actually alias this inside your bash rc, or what it is called in Mac. I'm not sure. I think something like profile, dot profile kind of thing. So you have to put it somewhere to make it permanent. So then you can run it sail up. So I think okay, it's done. It is done. So when you run this command, sail up, it will run as it in logging your every moment. Okay, see this part, mail halt keep alive, just to notice that it is the last uh, the last line of it. So let's say I went to localhost here. So when I'm going to, okay, sorry, I have the HTTPS. Will it work? Okay, I have to open a new incognito. Okay, my light has gone off, so 1 second. I have to open my backup light thing. Does it work? Okay, so where's the okay, in private window, which is the incognito one, so you can type in localhost. Okay, so those errors that I have here, because I have set up for my other project with the HTTPS, so it is not um, catching the normal HTTP. So when you if you have that, just restart your browser. So I don't want to restart, so I just use the incognito browser. So just use the localhost regularly, and then you will be greeted with the um, Laravel page, which is version 8.26.1 with the PHP 8.01. So if you notice, I never started the PHP services, NGN services, which is not actually exists in the sail up, and then I never have to start the Redis, but then it detects that I have the PHP 8. So that's that. Let's kill it with Ctrl C. If you can see, there's the list of the containers running. Okay. So I have told you about the images. So what is containers? So containers is the running instances of the images. So you have this image, like let's say MySQL image, and then you run sail up. So when you run sail up, it actually um, take that MySQL image and then run that image as a container. So container is a running instance of the image of the MySQL. So there's like 4 instances of image running as a container. Uh, yeah, that's that. Okay, so to be able to make it run behind the scene, so you just have to enter -d behind. I mean at the end of the line. So you can see I can do anything what I want, not this long kind of thing. And then also while doing that, you can see it is starting really fast. So the first initialization, because it has to pull the images, so uh, the subsequent one is a lot faster. Okay, so let's what can we do here? Sudo I don't think is it there? Let me find it first. That's the bash rc. Okay. Why I'm doing this? Because I want to show you guys how to set up the alias. So I'm using Nano. So as you can see here, okay, file is unwritable because I'm not running a sudo. So let's go back. I think I can do this. Okay, sudo nano bash rc. Okay, putting in my password. Okay, so no more errors. Okay, so navigate with the keyboard, go to the bottom of the page, and then press enter. And then where's the guide again? The guide here, the guide. Okay, you can copy this alias and then paste it in. Just save it. Okay, so let's power down. As you notice, I don't have to use. I'm not sure if it's working yet, but let me show you. Okay, say not found. Why? Okay, let's power it down first. Sail down. to put it down. Okay, I think you have to maybe open a new instances. Oh yeah, I forgot. So if you how, what do we call it? If you change the bash rc file, okay, and I'm talking this in the Ubuntu environment. So different distros or Mac OS might have a different file to edit to add the alias. So you have to log off and log in back to your OS to be able to use that change. So as in my case, I will run it here. It will be alias. So you can see I just type save up, and then it is already creating um, the yeah, I forgot the D argument. So as you can see here, starting Laravel development server at port 80, blah blah blah. Okay, so let's refresh it. Still running. So there's the name starting and stopping, sail up, minus D, sail down. So executing command. Okay, so this if you have installed Laravel before, you know that you have to run PHP artisan. This PHP artisan migrate PHP artisan DBC to actually what they call to start the artisan um, commands. So when you are in this sail or slash docker um, environment, you have to use the sail part instead of PHP because PHP is already inside sail. Okay, okay, there's the version. Okay, let me show you a bit. Let's kill it and then start with the D. Okay, D. Okay, so when I type PHP, it come up. I think it hangs the. Okay, so if you type PHP with sail, okay, it's taking quite a while. Is it working or not? Maybe it hangs because it can't find the. Yeah, okay, so it when the arguments missing, it took a while. Okay, so when I type PHPV, you can see I can have the PHP version inside the sail container. So to show you, no, I cannot show you because the PHP is running on port 80. And then I think my terminal here. Let's open this. Let's open this in the PowerShell. Okay, this is my Windows directory. So I have a version running 7.4.14 just to show you the perspective. So my local Windows OS here, I have the 7.4.14 PHP version, which is stuck to the environment variables. And then let's close this one. And then in this cell container, I have the 8.0.1. Okay, so how do we get those config? So let's continue where I left off. Previously, where did I left? I mean the documentation. Let's go through real quick. So when you're executing, basically just had sail in front. Blah 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 blah. Interacting with databases. So you can read this. I will explain it later in the real life examples. So container, PHP versions. Okay, so if you want to change the PHP version, you can just um, change this in the Docker Compose file, sharing your site to be able to make it available to other people, and then say publish to be able to change the config file. So okay, let's go and run this. Okay, it says compete directory vendor Laravel to Docker folder. So because if you change anything inside this vendor folder, whenever you run Composer install or Composer update, it will reset it to the vendor uh, files again or structure again. So it is copying to Docker, so it is our files now. So I kept on opening this one. Where is this? Okay. So if you can see here, okay, I don't have any repo because I'm using curl. Okay, I'm not going to show the key part. Okay, so whenever you install the new app or you install it onto the existing Laravel application with the composer require sale and everything, you will get this file, the docker compose.yum file. So I will explain this in a little bit. So the command that I run just now, let's look for the folder docker. So it will have 7.4 and 8 depending on the PHP version you are running or you want to run actually. So that's that. Basically we don't want to change this as we don't have any special requirements since this is a new app. I will show you based on the real life project in a separate video, I guess, because this is already taking too long. Okay, so let's go through the Docker YARN file. Basically, you can read all of it inside this documentation, but I'm going to explain it to you line by line. So, version 3. Okay, let's start with the version 3. So, I'm not going to tell you about Docker itself because Docker you have to run Docker run. Oh, okay. Speaking of that, uh, am I running it? Okay, so if you notice, okay, let's go this real quick. Sail down. Okay, so I'm killing it with the sail command. So when it says in the documentation that basically sail is Docker, and then it is at its heart, it is a Docker compose. So you can see here when I run Docker compose up T, you can see inside the folder my portal, which is the new project, you can see it is actually running the same creation of the containers because Docker Compose equal to sail. Sail is based on Docker Compose. So any Docker Compose or Docker command that you know, you can actually apply to sail. So okay, let's refresh this. To the string file level permission denied. Okay, so this is the permission issue. Basically, I think because we're not running. Okay, so I guess this is a bug in the sale part because yeah, I never run this before because I'm using a custom application, so I have my own sets of rules and permission. So let's kind of turn it down again, run with the sale up instead because set up will actually run the command that Laravel instructs it to do. Okay, so it's working again. So it is not supposed to happen because when you're running Docker Compose, it should take the same files actually. So, but I think because we need to supply an argument in our env, yeah, because if you can see this, the www group variable and user is not set. Instead, when you're running as up the D, I think it is automatically set for you. So you have to insert the env, the variable here in your env. So okay, my bad. That's not a bug. That is something that you need to pass inside your env file. So where's the env file? It's here. So basically, what's the www group? So I think there's none. So that's why it's not there. So okay, let me show you right away. Group paste there, equal to let's say sale, the user, and then equal to sale. So Let's power it down. As you can see, I started with a sail up and then I got it down with Docker compose down. So basically it's the same thing. So okay, okay. So let's go with the up. As you can see, no more errors, but I don't know if it's working or not. So let's check it out. Okay, it is still an error, so I have to go through the codes to see what does it expect. Okay, my bad. So let's go. I think if it's running like here, maybe it's updated. You need to power it down first. Okay, so that's my bad. Probably it is expecting something else. Okay, so that's that. Let's go back to the Docker Compose YAM file. Version 3 is basically the um, version that is used to write this syntax or options for the Docker Compose. So there's version 1, version 2, version 3.4, 3 point blah blah blah. So usually we start with 3 because this is something that whenever I start, they give you the 3, so I just use this as it is. Okay, so the services version, and then there's the services. As you can see, the line here drops down all the way to networks. So there's only three, and then networks, and then the volumes. There's four. There's four sections here. So there's the services, networks, and volumes. I'm not going to go into detail for each of them, but I'm going to tell what it is. So Laravel test is basically the name of your container. If you can see here, where is it? Okay, this is the name of the image. Okay, is it down? Oh, it is down. So let's put that up. As you can see, my portal, name of my folder is running with the name of this. So it will generate the name of the container for you, my portal, which is the app, underscore laravel.test underscore one. So it will be based on this. So to be able to have a beautiful name, I mean a much prettier name, you can add container name, put it my portal instance, for example. Okay, so let's restart. Sail restart is a new command that I'm going to show you. So sail restart or docker compose restart, anything is fine. So as you can see, is it working? Maybe you cannot restart it. Docker compose down. That is your container, right? Okay. So okay. Bear with me 1 second. I'm trying to show you the relation here. So sail up again. Okay, so as you can see, creating the previously we will be creating my portal laravel.test. So here creating my portal underscore instance, which we have set here in here. So you can do the same for the every services here for the MySQL, Redis, Mailhawk. Okay, so inside this, there's the build. Okay, so this is the container name. The container name, I mean the container name, yes, by default. So this is when you want to customize the container name. So how do you want to access it is when you have this container name, you have to access it like this. So how to see the container without the UI in case you're using Mac OS or Mac OS have the Docker desktop. So if you're using Linux, you probably don't have this. So you probably want to do like this, Docker image for the image ls. So you can see the list of images that have been generated, just the same info as in the Docker desktop, but in the terminal kind of environment. So if you want to see, like I said, there's different services Where is it? Services, networks, volume. So you can actually, so images, container, sorry. So there's the container ls, which is all of the containers. So alias for the container is ps, docker ps. You can get the same result. If you want to see all, even the date containers, you can see I have one with the exited containers. So there's that container, and then what else? Network. You can see there's the list of networks that I have. Ours is my portal underscore sale here. So that's that. And then docker, what else? Image, container, volume. That's okay. So this is the volume. So I will talk about that later in the video. Okay, now that's that. Okay, so if you can see, where's the, okay, I will show in the container part. So if you can see, there's like this for these containers, there's like none, which I said is the temporary one, and it have some considerable size in here. So if you want to clean it, you can run docker container rm for remove, and then the name of the container, which is we don't know about it, so you can use the image id. Okay, image id. So no such container. Okay, so for this one, okay, since it has now, usually you have to use this name, but I'm not sure what. Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm sorry. I'm using the container name. It is the image name. Okay, so when I deleted this with the image ID, it will delete this encrypted kind of thing. So when you run docker image ls, you will have less of it. Okay, so what if you want to remove all of dangling image? We call it dangling. So you use prune. It will ask you if you want to do this, and then you can press yes or no. So I don't want to do that. I will use no, and then I will, if you want to force it, you can just use the flag minus f. So it will remove all of the unknown one. So when you ls again, you will have the clean, I mean the cleanest way, because you can see there's still one dangling um, image there, which probably you can manually remove. So as in the docker desktop UI, you can see in the image there's none here. You can probably see, okay, image is being used by stop container. Okay, probably there's one. Yeah, probably it is not removed because it is still dangling. So you can do that later. As for the volume, same, everything is the same. So if the for the container, you can see there's container lsa, you can see here, but then if you want to remove it, you can use the same one, docker container rm with the container id, or prune if you want, if you wish. Okay, so that's the command part. That's that. Let's go back to our docker compose file, and then am I still recording? Yes, I am still recording. And then okay, my mic is working. Okay, so there's that. Okay, that's the build. Okay, the build is basically the build where what custom commands you want to instruct the image to produce. So there's two actually use case for this. You can actually, okay, let's keep this one first. Let me show you the basic one. So let's say for the MySQL here, you have the image part. Okay, image, the syntax is like this: MySQL colon 8.0. So where how does it know to pull the image from? How does it know where does it where does it come from? So if you search for the Docker Hub, you will be directed to hub.docker.com. Okay, so okay, it's okay my ID. So let's open the non non incognito browser. I'm using Microsoft Edge by the way because it seems like better on the battery. Okay, so you can see the largest library for container images. So there's these official images and stuff. So let's say MySQL. You click on MySQL and then you can see there's the supported tags and respective Docker file link. So basically the Docker Compose consists of Docker file of which is the image one. So I will show you the image later on. So if you click on one of it, so you can see it is highlighted in links like this. And also if you scroll to the bottom, it will show how to install and how to do stuff to configure. So in our case, it says here MySQL 8.0. How do I know how to use that? So you click on one of the supported tags, you can see the source code. So for this example, the MySQL 8.0, as of now, I still haven't know how to use what kind of value here. So you can go here and then you can see not yet. So you can see the source code here, which is we call the Docker file. It is coming from Debian colon buster slim. So which is it is coming from the Debian based Linux, Debian based uh, Linux OS, and then it is created by the buster, and then it has the slim version. That's kind of the name. So basically, uh, this is calling a Docker file called MySQL Docker file, and then this Docker file is calling Debian Docker file. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Someone have already made this image with the commands and stuff to install the MySQL, setting the key, setting the major version, getting the update, and then starting the MySQL service, opening the port 3306, and then you just have to use it. How to use it? Let's go back one step. You can see there's another tab here. The text here is the one that you want. So if you're using the usual Docker, basically you want to let's check. Do I have my Bluetooth still on? Is it okay? Is it okay? Yeah, still have like 45. Okay, so uh, if you're using the usual Docker, you have to use the Docker pool. Basically, when you're using the shell app or Docker Compose app, it behind the scene is running for this command actually. So the one that you want is actually this part to be able to use it in your Docker Compose. So let's get our 8.0. 8.0. So this is where I get the value to put in here. Okay, so uh, that's that. That's how you get the image. So you can see the image here is Redis Alpine. If you go to the hub.docker, you can search for it up here. Redis Alpine, and then okay, so looks a bit weird there. So if you use Redis, always go for the official image since you know that it will be supported by the official organization. So you can see there's a lot of version here, the RC, the Alpine. The Alpine is actually the most recommended one because it has the smallest footprint. But then if you're using something custom, so you have to install a bunch of packages to make it work. So but I still prefer it over anything else because I have the control on what I am doing. I will show you guys in a separate video on installing a bunch of stuff on Alpine image. So there's the image part. Image, everything has an image. There's the image. There's the image. There's no image for this unless this one. So if you search for this, you will not find this because you have already used the build option here. So the others, they have uh, no build options. So if you use this, meaning you want to take the Docker file and then customize it. So how do you know which file are you going to take? So this one became something that you define, the one that you want to name your image. If you can see in the here, so this is something that you compile um, by yourself. So you can actually, if you sign in here, you can push your own image to the Docker Hub. So okay, that's that. So if you want to do something custom, so this is how it looks. So this is one time that I have, and then this is another one that I have. Yeah, I think that's all. That's all, guys. I think I have another one. No, okay, yeah, this one. This one is something that I did myself. So you can see the size here. So uh, how do you know which OS this cell running into? So if you can see, the MySQL one is running based on Debian Docker file. So for this one, you can see it has the build context. Context meaning that it is specifying the path that you want to use. So let's okay. So this is the base folder of the project. So the path here is relative to your Docker Compose YAM file. So this Docker Compose YAM file, and then here is the Docker file. Not Docker file, Docker folder, which it is referring to, which is dot slash Docker, going inside it, and then slash 8.0, and then there's the option Docker file, which is the name Docker file. So we click on the Docker file. You can see it says here from Ubuntu 20.04. The label maintainer is the Laravel author, and then if you can see here it received the argument. So okay, most of this stuff is just the Linux command. So this is going to be a separate video if you want it. But then you can do anything you can do inside a Linux OS. So anything you have done inside the terminal with the OS, sudo apt get everything, you can do it here. So let's say let's go real quick. So first of all, it's going to the update. That's why you're seeing the long list of updates, and then it's getting the PHP extensions here, and then all the dependencies, and then it is getting the composer. It is installing the composer right into the Ubuntu. It install yarn MySQL client, and then it just remove the cache and temporary files, and then it adds the user group. So this is where we fail probably, because when we run the Docker Compose up, it is expecting something else here. So maybe I I forgot something. So it is setting the 1337 user to the sale group, I guess. Okay. Yeah, probably. So I didn't really understand this, but it is adding the user group sale, the user group that we send into the sale, and then you can just set sale. Okay, so then it will copy the container file, the here. Okay, for the list of this command here, the run, copy, expose, entry point, it is actually in the Docker documentation, so you can go and read it on what does it do. Basically it's just for run, it just run the command. Copy, basically it's just copy this start container. Where is the start container? It is relative to the context. So context docker slash 8.0 slash 8.0, inside there's a start container, and then supervisor php.ini and then you can see here it's just start container. Where do you want to copy it? You want to copy inside the image or the containers environment. So the default ones usually is the user local bin inside the Linux, and then etc supervisor for the supervisor, and then the PHP additional configuration you want to copy it inside the conf.t. So you want to give it a chmod plus x to the start container, then you expose the port 8000, meaning you want the host. Okay, that's one term that I never said before. So your Windows OS is a host, and then your Docker is the container. So container host. So container has its own set of permission and directories, which is the var www, var tmp, var lib, etc user and stuff, and then the host have this um, C drive, program file, C Laravel, just like mine, and then the path here is relative to the Docker Compose file, obviously here, which is here. So they have their own port. So this one, when you build the image, the container one, it doesn't expose any ports yet. You don't know which port that it wants to use. Port 80, port 90, port 100. So as for the host, it's the same thing. So it doesn't have any port assigned to. So you have to expose the port, for example 8000, and then on the host you can access the 8000 in front. Okay, so that's the theory of it. So the details will be probably shared in my own custom application video and setup. So the entry point is the script that you want it to run when it started. So let's go through the start container. So this is bunch of shell scripting um, logic here. So if you detect is a user, give the user into the group the yeah the sale, and then if it detects a composer, then make the composer, and then chmod recursively, and then if it detects an argument less not less more than 0, then to this do the argument part, else just run the supervisor. So let's go into the supervisor, which is in here. If you can see in the Docker file, in here, is it the right one? Okay, wrong one, sorry. User bin supervisor. Okay, this is the default one, default installation for the supervisor. Okay, so I never really understand the shell script. Oh, okay, in this case it's using bash. So usually just Google and copy it. So that's that. That's the Docker file, end of the Docker file. Now let's go back to the Docker Compose. So this is one set. If you're not using the build, if you don't want to customize anything, you just want to start a service, you just start the image. Okay. So that's that, and then this the ports, that you want uh, the okay yeah, this part you need to know. So this is the port that you want the host to know, let's say 80, and then 80 is the port that you want to map from the container. So the first is host, the later one is container. So if you expose 80 from the container, and then you want to receive it as 80. So let's say I change it to 8090 here for the host, and then let's stay the same for the container. So you will have to, where's the browser? Here, okay. You will have to access it using the 8090. Since I didn't restart the services, so it won't work. But that's the theory of it. Container, host container, host on the left, container on the right. So that's the environment. If you need to pass something, usually I didn't enable this. Okay, so that's the volume. So volumes is something that we call, if you want it to mirror the host and container. So let's say I have the source code here, this on the left. So you notice the dot, yeah, the dot here. So the dot meaning the root of the directory here, it is mapped to the working directory in the container. So the container is starting the service, and then it is um, actually mapping this source code into these folders, depending on the, which is obviously depending on the working directory that you want. So in this case, if you can see the Docker file, the working directory here is here. So you probably best to match it with here, so that it can find the, the path. So this is one part where you want to map it. There's another use case where you want to persist the data, because okay, let's say you change something in the container. Let's say you remove the not remove, you change or modify any of the source code using the using this, which is inside the WSL or inside the um, inside here. So here, okay, why okay. So inside here, let's say this ls, you're doing something with the file, you're modifying the source code, so it will directly mirror it to the host. Here is the host. So it's the same way, it's a two-way binding. So let's say you change something inside here, you change something and save it, it will mirror to the container. So you will always have the up-to-date source code. So which is what we want, because you don't want to be editing on the host and then have to Docker compose down and up again to be able to have the latest source code every time. So this is something that usually we do with the source code, but it can be applied to other stuff. Okay, so volumes. Okay, I covered image, ports. Okay, same for the ports here, ports 3306 for MySQL, image. Okay, so other volumes. Okay, so now let's go to the volume. I think the battery here is dying. Okay, it's dead. So let's check my mic is working. So hopefully you can listen it. Just bear with me until my microphone arrive. So right now I have to use the Bluetooth microphone. So okay, so MySQL. MySQL environment. You can see, okay, the above is the environment for the app. So here is the environment for the um, initial setup of the database. So if you have this inside, you will have the database created. Okay, yeah, in the meantime, I'm going to open this up. Okay, is dbeaver the SQL client that I'm using. So, okay, okay. Speaking of volumes. Okay, so in this part where I mentioned it, it maps the volumes. Yeah, it maps the volumes to be real time changes. So as for the database, once you start working, you don't want to always restart your data. I mean, you to reinsert or seeding the data or migrate the or I mean, creating the table over and over again. So you want this to persist when you run the sail down or Docker compose down. So you use it the same as the syntax, sail MySQL. You give it a name. This is when you want to persist it, and then just give it a path. Usually this is the default one. Uh, the path on the container. This is the host path where you want to keep it, and then you have to define it down in the bottom here under the service volumes. So you can see there's the name sail MySQL driver local. So sorry, you can read more about the drivers here, bridge local and stuff. So there's also the volume for Redis, because we want to persist the Redis session or queues or anything inside the data folder on the container, and then in the local you are creating the sail Redis um, folders here. Uh, there are somewhere inside there that they are storing this. So I forgot where it was, but it's there. It's inside the WSL environments. Okay, so that's that. Okay, volume is down. So once you okay, so let's try to access this first. Do I have the port 306? Yeah, so you can see if I try to access other ports, it will fail because I am not connected. So since we have the the what we call the my portal here with the MySQL instances running, so I can, and then you can see the config here is 3306 port. You can see here that I have it open with the my portal um, my portal database with zero tables obviously, and then this is the default credentials. So how do I know the credentials? You can see you can edit the connection. As you can see, it is localhost port 3306 because okay, sorry, because I mentioned it here. The host is 3306. The container is 3306. It is exposing the 3306 to us, so we have to use this one to access it. And then localhost is basically because we are on a host, we want to use it to localhost. And then the username basically is what you set up in here. So let's look at the env. Okay, this syntax is actually right from the env file. Env file have to be the same level of the Docker Compose to be able to read it. So as you can see, MySQL root password is db password, same as the MySQL password, db password. Here is none. So you can see here, no password given. So and then db username is root. So username is root. Here is root. So as simple as that. So if you need um, other credentials here, just change as you wish. So if you need to configure two database of a different driver, you just can just uncomment. For example, if you're using Postgres SQL, or maybe you are using Oracle plus MySQL, you can do that. And if you have multiple connection, I will show you multiple database inside the same ports and IPs with a different environment. I will show you on how to do it in a separate video, and then I also will show you on how to do a different port kind of thing. Okay, so a different port with automation, and then one with the different with the same port with the custom SQL script. Okay, that's the okay. So now that's done. Let's go to the here. There's no environment variable here. Okay, except for the okay no. There's nothing here. Okay, so let's go to the networks. Okay, as you can see, next is networks. Networks is a set of binding between the containers. So you have the Laravel.test containers, MySQL containers, all without any connection. So networks is the one that connects it. So because if you're asking how does this Laravel test knows what database to use, so because it is in the same network, it is like it automatically binds the IP address between themselves. So how it works, I don't know, but if it's in the same networks, it will work. Easy as that. So I haven't got to any custom networks yet, but as far as my use case or understanding goes, usually when you're building something, it obviously have to be in the same network, unless you are deploying to production and then have multiple services with the different networks and requirements. So I have for the health check, you can do the test with the CMD, MySQL admin, and ping, which is everything is a script inside the MySQL image. So let's say if we can see here, where's the thing? You can see if you're using the health check, you can see there's like the healthy in the what do we call here? this, yeah, open and uh, this this method, the programming part. Okay, so you can see status up 4 minutes, which is healthy, but I didn't put the health declaration anywhere else except the sale and MySQL, because those are the only part that requires you to check if the DB is ready and stuff. Okay, networks done, networks, and then health check done. Okay, so the final one is the depends on. So this is something like a condition, if else kind of condition. So um, if you like this app, for this app instance, the PHP and then the application, the Laravel instances, if it depends on Redis and MySQL to be up first before it can be initialized, or before the Docker file can be pulling the other images, you need to put this on. So this name here is based on this name, the name here. So yeah. So if you define a custom name here, you have to use this name. So let's say, okay, here you can also put it here. So if like MySQL depends on Redis to be able to start it up, so you have to put it here. So yeah, say Redis also have I already mentioned it. So okay, Mailhawk is a service. Let's go real quick there. Where's the browser? Here. Oh no, did I do something wrong? Probably did I just, okay, it is actually up to date. So okay, maybe I think it's still on HTTP. I probably have to turn it down. Let's do that real quick. Did I change something in between? I don't think so. Instances. Okay, sorry about that. So basically, this is a live setup with you guys, um, just to see how real the errors and stuff going on. So if you can see, uh, just Google anything that you came across. But I hope most of this will come through. Okay, so this is something new. Let's go there and then just, okay, no, I don't need this. Actually, I want to show something else. Okay, you can see there's the mail hop part where you can actually see the email for testing in Laravel. So that's that. So about the permission part is probably the permission going on, because I am probably running inside somewhere. So if you're familiar with Linux, this is kind of easy to fix. So as for me, I have to go through all the permission, LSL and stuff. Oh, and by the way, how to access those? What is that sound? Probably my battery is going down. Okay, you can actually, instead of if you refer the documentation from sale, you know how to access it. So if you're using Docker Compose, you can use the exec command to uh, get what the instance is all about. So in this case, exec my portal instance and autocomplete. Okay, so you have to do a command behind. So ls no such service my portal instance. Okay, service. What is the name of the service? Let us see first. Okay, the service here, it has this name. So why is it not working? Let's check my portal instance. What's the error? No such service. Okay, let's do this then. No such service. Okay. Probably something going on here. Docker compose that this service. This service. What's the name actually? This is something that I've been using for quite some time. Okay, so probably something going on from my part. So let's just Docker service. Yes. Did I get the name wrong? Don't think so. Okay, probably my bad for my end. So I don't think we need to. Is it this one? Yeah, I think this one. My bad, my bad, my bad, my bad. That's the container name, not the service name. Okay, so now it's working. So when you want to exec, you have to use the service name instead of the container name. So you can actually define the service name, but I forgot how to use that. So let's show you real quick. Where's the workspace for my other project? Let's open it real quick. That's that. Okay, I have commented out. Now let's go there. Here inside the environment. Okay, so I just copy the. Where's the environment again? Oh, here. I just need to copy this name. Inside here. Just put it there. Let's give it a name. My portal. That my portal service. Okay. Let's let's do the restarting. The restart is working fine. Okay, one more thing. If you change something inside the Docker file, you have to build it again. So you have to do the sail down and then sail up again, and then it will rebuild by itself. But if you want to just restart it while doing the build, you can just use this sail up T and then minus build. So it will build again everything. So let's cancel that. Okay, so Docker Compose up also the same. So okay, let's test the my portal service for the exact part. My portal service. My portal service. Okay, no underscore, my bad. Exact my portal service. Is it working? Doesn't seem like it is. Do I need to put it down? Okay, this is something that still confused me till today. What can be done without restart? What can be done? Because I haven't actually understand it fully, but this is how I am learning. Actually, also while showing you guys. So removing network cell and then okay. Yeah, it's done. So I don't want to build. It's going to be taking a long time. So if it's not working now, so I probably give up. Okay, no service. So this is something that I need to take a look, or maybe you just have to. Yeah, why do you want to rename this actually? So yeah, it makes sense. Why? So you don't need this. Just forget the last part. So I guess that's all that as everything that I can show. Um, Except for the coding part, which is just a theory that I've said regarding the volumes and stuff. So, but you can just try it by yourself. So, I guess that's about it. So maybe my next video I will show you how to integrate. I won't show how to integrate Sail into the existing project. There's the documentation in there. I will show you how to make a custom Docker configuration of files inside your existing applications, especially the Laravel application, since I have those running. But then, if you can do that, then you probably can do the simple hello world. So what? Because nobody wants the hello world project, right? So I will show you based on the real project on how to set it up, and then um, yeah, I hope uh, this video benefits you, and then I hope yeah, I hope you enjoy this video, and then just comment down below if you need me to improve something, and then let me know if I help you in understanding how Sail and Docker works. So comment anything you want, like if you like this video, and then dislike if you disliked it. But then comment on how I can improve it, and then subscribe if you want to see more um, coding or programming tutorials, and also some tech stuff that I plan on doing alongside the way. But it will be mostly coding stuff because that is what I do day to day. And then click on subscribe. It will help me a lot. Did I say subscribe twice? Yeah, maybe. Okay. Anyway, see you guys in the next one. Bye bye. Where's the OBS? Okay. Yeah. Bye bye.